model year. Acura of Pembroke Pines. Drive away in a new Integra. Only $299 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
If you're looking to take your home or business to the next level, then RM Contractors can assist you. RM specializes in new residential turnkey, new commercial turnkey, home and office remodeling. Call them for free estimates. Serving all of South Florida, licensed and insured. Call Ray, 305-345-3649. You work hard to create the perfect atmosphere. You dream it, we'll build it. RM Contractors, 305-345-3649 or Instagram at RMC Fisher Island.
Start your engines, hear the crowd. Talking racing now, we're revving loud. Yeah. From Daytona nights to Talladega days, we're chasing rumors, hearing what they say. Pit crews hustle, tires burning fast. News and whispers, nothing's gonna pass. Talking racing now, we're hitting the track. NASCAR stories, no looking back. Engines roar and the fans all cheer. Every lap we're bringing the latest here. From rookie rides to legends known, victory lanes and dynasties grown. We'll spin the tails, where speed's alive. Every week the racing vibes survive. NASCAR stories, no looking back. Engines roar and the fans all cheer. Every lap we're bringing the latest here. Green flags flying, hear the sound. Talking racing now, the best show around.
Oh, we are back. And we picked a good day, actually, before we even... I didn't even realize that this announcement was going to be made today, but we've picked a pretty good day. I am Sean
Absolutely.
Stanley, and as always, joined by the great Spencer O'Neill.
What's up,
and
Sean?
Guess what, man? Not only are we back, the Chase is back.
I know the Chase is back. It's been a decade or something. I think it has actually been 2 years, 10 years, I believe. It's crazy.
Yeah, I saw it was 2015, so exactly, yes. Well,
Yeah.
it'll be 11 by the time the 26 season rolls out. The announcement was made today at about 3:30. And let me just get your, I guess, the first initial thoughts of, what did you think it was going to be, I guess, and with what it was, your reaction?
So I thought they were going to keep the playoff system and they were going to just get rid of that last race being the final race. Maybe just do like the last 4 races or some sort of thing along those lines, but still have a system where they were starting a playoffs. They were going to have a cut down, and just not have one final race, maybe like 3 or 4. That's what I figured was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's NASCAR. I really didn't think anything. I thought it was just going to stay status quo. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought they were going to come to us and be like, oh, here's what we thought, and maybe we'll implement it in 27. This is what we've got so far, but we'll implement it next year, possibly. I didn't think they were going to come up with something like this. And, you know, again, they had Mark Martin was involved, Dale Earnhardt. Apparently Steve Letart's been in with some of the conversations. So they got, you know, veterans. They've got the current drivers. Supposedly they've got, you know, they had a good little mixture of the committee because apparently not everything has really come out about everything that was said. But obviously there's some parts in it with sponsorship and different things like that I guess they can't just make go away.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least that's the way it kind of seemed to me when they were talking about it. It's kind of like they're dancing around. Like even Mark Martin said, when I sat down and finally heard, you know, all the things that go on, I didn't know we were going to get to this part so quickly.
Yeah, and absolutely. And for those that don't know, if you don't know, go check it out after the show. There was, maybe a 30-minute sort of special
Yeah, it
with
was
like a
pretty
little
quick,
show
actually.
afterwards,
Yeah, a little quick.
where they announced what the playoff changes were going to be. They explained how they got there. They had a panel. The panel had Chase Elliott, had Ryan Blaney, had Chase Briscoe representing the three major owners, and then Mark Martin, heck yeah, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. was there as well, with the new, or I guess not new, but the commissioner of NASCAR, Mr. Phelps. So,
Yeah.
they came in, they announced essentially we were going back to the chase. Those are the first words he read. Had a nice little graphic on there. It says the chase. If you want to watch it, you can find it on NASCAR's YouTube channel. Obviously, check that out after we're done. But yeah, it was exciting news, like getting a change back to something that I think was in line with what the fans were complaining about. And there was some language that I heard throughout it that I thought was really interesting. And Mark Martin was really an advocate for the fans. We should all be very thankful for Mark Martin
Yes.
in this.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's more
Well, I
about
thought-
getting back to what NASCAR was for Mark Martin, which is
that.
which is what most of the fans wanted, really.
right.
You know,
And Mark Martin came in and said very specifically he wanted a full season 36, and it was told to him that wasn't going to happen. Not necessarily because it couldn't happen, but it couldn't happen because of contracts, right? They've got TV contracts, they've got expectations with the CW, TNT, the people that are putting these races on, that it's going to have some sort of significance as opposed to the other 26 races throughout.
so they can
the
get
year.
their advertising money. It's got to
Right,
have,
and I'm sure that those races cost them more money than the
yeah.
previous 26 as well. So, they can't just change it out of nowhere, and they were able to get this done. It still has significance, and it kind of gets back to what everyone, as far as the old school fans, have been asking for, which was, a full season and or something like it. So I was very happy with it, and I also like that they focused on getting back to what they called the classical fans.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of backlash within the NASCAR community as far as kind of trying to move on and always trying to get new fans as opposed to trying to cement the ones that you already have, and they've alienated a lot of people throughout the years. So it was nice to see them kind of make an homage to the classical fans of NASCAR and trying to put out the olive branch to bring them back.
Yeah, and also the other thing I thought was interesting was when they said, we took the focus off the drivers, making them, really the focal point of what. And I started thinking about, I'm like, it's 100% correct, because when you look back to the times, yeah, you had your drivers, your Gordon, but you worried about Gordon winning. It wasn't like, oh, is Gordon going to make the playoffs?
Right.
No, you wanted to win every race, and it feels like it's kind of going that way again. I'm still not happy with one thing.
I'm assuming it's what you texted me earlier, so I'm just
Yes,
I'm like,
it's the
here we
stage
go
racing.
again.
It's the
Oh,
stage
yeah.
racing, and again, I get it. It's never going to leave. That's fine. But to me, with what you're saying, with what you did today, and the steps you're taking to go back to what it was, you're still going to throw a caution 100 laps in to give everybody a reset? They didn't have that reset back then. You could still do the flag. You could do the last lap brought to you by whatever, this green, whatever. You could still do all that. You could do your graphics. You could do picture in picture and keep the race going.
They could.
I just feel like you're and again, I know I felt like Mark Martin was trying to let us know when he took over, was like, look, it's good, but it's not where I want it to be. He kind of said, it's not exactly the way we want it, but because I feel like you're still going to help drivers that are struggling have an okay points day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you're still going to have those points throughout. You're just now, which we didn't really get into, we'll get into right now, you win the race, it's no longer 40, it's 55.
Yeah, so do you have all that stuff in front of you? Do you want to sort of break down the changes?
I got some of it. I was trying to keep up with the notes as I was going along. So basically, here's what we got. You're going to have the 26 regular season races, then the 10 playoff races. That kind of didn't really change. What has changed, though, is that now only 16 technically, I guess 16 drivers advanced anyways, with the playoffs too. But those 16 drivers will be reset with the number one driver, the regular point. They're not really calling it the regular points champion, the regular season champion anymore. He will just get 2,100 points and be ranked number one in the chase.
Right.
And he'll have a 25-point lead on second place already. And then it'll drop by 5 all the way down to 16, who is at 2,000 points. They're already 2 races behind, basically.
Yes.
So again, this is where I like what, Earnhardt and some of the others said, and the fact that now it's almost like you're racing for seeding in there, because you can't get too far down that list, because you're not going to catch up unless for somehow all those teams have a bunch of DNFs, which again, if you're making it that far, you've had a pretty consistent season. Right. Of wins and finishes. It's not no longer, hey, you get a playoff point for winning a stage. You get this for that. No. Now it's just stage points and wins. And the other points from racing in there as well.
And playoff points, which none of us could understand to begin with.
Yeah. It made no sense. It's like, okay, so at the end, everybody starts with the amount, and then you get added that with the playoff points you picked up. So it made no sense to why you would want to win the regular season, because you just get mixed in with everybody again. This, at least, if and again, they're not calling it a regular season champion or anything like that. I am. But if you win that part of it, at least now it means something. I mean, you're going in with almost a half a race points already advantage. You're not going in with 5 points.
Yeah.
You're up 25 points.
And that's just on the second place driver.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and you had 5 on to every spot after that.
One thing that didn't make much sense to me about the points thing, though, and this is really dumb, but just maybe it's optics, I don't know. Why did they start at 2,100? Why not just start at 100? What's up with the 2,000? Like, is it just supposed to catch people's attention? Like, ooh, look, they have 2,000 points? No, they just restarted. So it's 2,100, then 2,075, and then it's 10 points to the third place from second. So it's 2,065, and then every person after that goes down by 5.
Oh, is that? Oh, I thought it was 5 after that. I missed the 10. Okay.
Yeah, it's the 10. It doesn't matter.
So the top 2 gets a little bit of an advantage, though. I mean, I get it. 10 points really isn't a lot in the scope of things, but that's still one stage. That's a stage win, basically, for somebody,
Right.
And with those 16 now, there's no more 4 and you're out, 4 and you're out, 4 and you're out. Those 16 will race for the next 10 races, and the one that ends up with the most points will be crowned your NASCAR champion.
Correct. And, we may get situations like we've seen in the past in the chase where we go into the final race knowing who the winner is, but generally that's not true. Generally, there was a tight competition going towards the end of it. Like, someone would have a lead and they would probably win, but it was never cement. But
to me, even if that happens, that's where you got to give the people, that team, the flowers.
Right.
They've done everything that they've needed to do to race their way in. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think they should be, I feel like in this other way, you almost get penalized in a way. Like you get so far ahead that now you got to come back to them.
I think NASCAR realized they're never going to have a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What they were trying to do is they were trying to create a Super Bowl, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah. And I did find it interesting where they were saying, I think it was Phelps. Was Phelps the first guy I thought was Phelps the one that
Phelps,
Phelps
is on the way out. I'm sorry. Yeah, Phelps is on the way out. He's resigning in January.
O'Connell or whatever his name.
O'Donnell. Yeah. O'Donnell. So Steve O'Donnell was the one that was talking. I messed that up.
Okay. No. I just want to make sure. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I might have missed that.
It's the Steves. It's Steve and Steve.
It's Steve and Steve. It's the fall guys, we call them.
Only one guy took the fall, but yeah.
Well, one guy took the fall, but the other ones, he was there to be the backup in case. Yeah, we'll dive into that in a minute. But I follow, I don't know if you follow him, Joseph Strigley.
No clue.
He writes for NASCAR for one of the, I forgot the thing. He's out of Canada.
Okay.
But he does a lot of the thing, like for instance, today they put out, the rankings, right? So if this was instituted last year, do you know who would have won the Cup Series?
I have no clue.
Kyle Larson.
Oh, that's funny. So it all comes out in the wash, huh?
In a way, but what I did find interesting, because Hamlin ran so bad in there, though, he would have finished 6th.
This is cream soda, by the way.
No, yeah, I figured. I mean, we're going back old school. I figured you got a Skol in. We're gonna have Budweiser.
No, I did bring a beer for later, but no. My dad's been getting me these. I got a cream soda and root beer connection.
Oh, no way!
He's picking them. Yeah, he's picking them up in Menards. They look like a Shiner Bock.
Yeah,
but yeah. They're made with honey. They're delicious.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Right. You know, your boy would have finished 16th in the points, which I think is where he finished anyways. But the top 10 would have been Larson, Bell, Briscoe, Blaney, Byron, Hamlin, Elliott, Reddick, Logano, and Chastain.
Okay, so the major change there is Bell, essentially.
Yeah, basically, yeah, because he raced well until the last two of that, the last the last ones they run out. In the now the O'Reilly parts, Jesse Love would not have won. He would have actually finished 3rd behind Connor Zilich and Justin Allgaier.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then Corey Heim, of course, would have
Absolutely would have won. Yeah,
the trucks. He would have finished 200 points ahead of the next competitor. He would have had it wrapped up with 4 races to go.
Well, as Joey Logano said at the show afterwards, I would have raced different, so we don't know what would have happened. But still, it just sort of throws context to it.
Yeah, no, yeah. But I think, too, though, is you're not gonna get the Hail Marys anymore. You can't. You're not gonna have the Ross Chastain drive against the wall to no, and the other thing that it did, and again, I don't know why the guy gets so much hate. But the first thing it's a lot of the NASCAR Classic guys and things like that and drivers, SVG would not have made it into the playoffs.
That's still hard to believe.
He wouldn't have. He would have finished.
I mean, I believe it, but it's still just crazy.
He would have finished 18th in points with the way it was set up.
Well, he's been driving better on the ovals, so
yeah, no, he's getting better. But I mean, you know. But because it was asked in a thing too. Well, no, was it the thing after I was watching? Yeah, it was. It was afterward. It was Steve Letarte and the 2 young ladies that were talking, who were, by the way, great. It was a pretty good show, man. They're on the YouTube NASCAR YouTube channel. They asked, like, how will this change some of those signings? Because if you remember, Trackhouse kind of brought SVG in, knowing that he would probably dominate on the road tracks. And by winning, you automatically go to the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
You know, so like some of those guys that have been, you know, brought in as ringers or whatever you want to look at, now where does that make, you know, some of the signings and contracts, or how will that play into what is going on? I thought it was pretty interesting. Well, Steve Letarte kind of downplayed it. It was like, look, you're going to learn how to drive it. And again, you just have to make sure you're there to finish the race on most of these.
Right.
Because if he does win those races, there's 4 or 5 road courses. Say there's 4 or 5 road courses. That's already 200 points for him, or 220 points that he'll rack up by winning those and getting to 55.
Right.
Not to mention on some of them, he dominated to where he had the stage points. So now you're leaving with 75 points at each of those races.
Except for Charlotte, where you can get 85.
10 for each stage win. What was that?
Except for Charlotte, where you can get 85. They have 4 stages.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
600.
All right.
I was listening to the show. I'm sorry. I didn't
I didn't catch everything. I was trying to. The problem was, of course, Raw comes on at 2:00 today because they're in Germany.
Oh, okay.
So I'm watching both, and like I muted Raw, but then that's when all the stuff started happening on Raw, and I'm listening to the NASCAR, and oh man. But listen, this is one of those things, you know, as a Dolphins fan, it was fire McDaniel. You get a little fired up. This gets you a little bit like, okay, all right. I mean, look, I ripped the sleeves off my shirt. I'm feeling like old NASCAR style right now. Rip the sleeves off, ready to go racing.
Yeah, I wore my Rusty Wallace hat today. I was feeling old school too. Yeah.
See that, man. Let's dive in. Now again, we've been out since I think we did one show after the final one, and then
That was it.
we have been out until today. So we're gonna catch up on a lot of the things that have happened, and then we'll probably take a couple weeks off, and then we will be back for the Bowman Gray get started February 1st.
That's right.
And then it'll lead into the duels and all the stuff going on during Daytona week, which is the race is the 15th, Valentine's weekend. Fantastic start for you, NASCAR. There we go. Thank you. Couldn't do it a week earlier, but all good. And then, so, man, look, you know what I was thinking? Bowman Gray. Why don't they just go old school at that one? Since you're bringing back the Chase, just bring back all the old school car, like the
like
mock-ups
cars.
I don't know necessarily the old cars, but the paint jobs. Bring out the Skoll. Bring out the like all the Exxons, the Mobiles, everything you used to see back in the day. Bring them bad boys back out there. Let's go.
They'd have to figure that out with them. Obviously, they would want some sponsorship money for it. But I think if you offered them a discounted rate and told them it was a one-time thing, as like a legacy deal, they'd probably go along with it.
Yeah, I think you get something, man. And speaking of contract sponsorships, I'm going to kind of leave this to you to lead, Spencer, because of the like everything that's going on. We're going to kind of put this into one whole ball.
Okay.
The lawsuit. What the lawsuit means for NASCAR, the fallout of the lawsuits, and I guess I don't know what to say, the legacy of it all that has come out of this now, I guess, in a way. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it to you to kind of lead through this because you know a lot more about this and the talking points than I do.
Sure. So, I think I wouldn't have known this going into it, but I think now after today and then after the trial, which obviously settled, the motto for this offseason was compromise.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
Does the whole part of the settlement of the lawsuit, the reason this change is happening today?
I don't know why this is happening today. I don't know why they chose today.
I feel like this is all part of like just to try to get back in the graces that they've fallen out of. To me.
Well, I thought it was interesting that Steve O'Donnell was the one that came out.
Yeah.
Obviously, Steve O'Donnell was one of the Steves. He's in the emails, but he's not the one making derogatory statements towards Richard Childress, right?
He's the one getting the texts and the emails.
He's the one getting the texts and getting the emails. He's not the one saying we need to put a knife in SRX.
Yeah.
Which, we'll get to that as a trial part. Like that was, to me, that was the most problematic part for NASCAR. So as far as the trial, let's get to it, right? So the motto for the offseason is compromise. We just went through the change to the Chase. And if you heard Mark Martin, what he talked about was this was the best we could get. And this was a huge compromise amongst all of the different people that were involved in it. The sponsors, the drivers, the team owners, NASCAR, and at the end, the fans, which, people like Mark Martin were speaking for, right? Well, the trial kind of has a similar theme. At the beginning, we get the discovery process comes out, and the discovery leaks happen a couple weeks before the trial, right? So the team from Front Row and from 2311, they start leaking things that they get in discovery as far as the emails. And, to me, it was obvious that the emails were never going to come into the trial, at least not the ones that were making derogatory statements. Because realistically, in a criminal trial, in a civil trial, in all trials, you have rules of evidence, and certain things can come in and certain things cannot. And you have a basic threshold of relevance. So it was obvious that as to whether or not NASCAR was acting in a way that was a monopoly, that was taking actions as a monopoly that were, into the hindrance of other competition. It really wasn't relevant whether or not Stephen Phelps thinks that Richard Childress is a dumb redneck. Doesn't matter. Um, those things were put out there by 2311 and by Front Row, really to win over public support, and it was wildly successful. I
Yes.
mean, wildly successful. When this trial came in, NASCAR was, they were the devil. Everybody was down on them. And if you paid attention to it at all, like you could tell that on Twitter, just basically on television, everybody was down on NASCAR and their position. The France family was being demonized, and it was a rough situation, right? Um, so we get to the trial, and 2311 and Front Row, they put on their evidence for the first week and then a day of the second week. And they called in all sorts of witnesses. They called in, Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan, and they came in and they said their piece, and they were very persuasive. At least from the, obviously we didn't get, it wasn't televised. All we got were secondhand reports from people like Jeff Gluck, who was there. Um, but from all we could tell, Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan were very persuasive in what they were saying. There was a line that Denny dropped at one point in time where they were asking him about the salary that he was giving Riley Earps, because he was complaining at some point in time about the salary for the drivers. And they were trying to make the point of, well, you only pay your driver 1.2 million, but you're complaining about pay for drivers, right? Like, you're a team owner. Isn't that kind of hypocritical? And his response was obviously practiced beforehand, but really brilliant. And it was just, well, I don't have a monopoly like you do. I have to deal with competition. So this is what the market is, essentially, is what he said, which was a brilliant answer. But there was, a lot of that for like a week. And then the final witness that they called, which I thought was an interesting choice, was Jim France, the CEO, essentially, the majority owner of NASCAR. He is the son of Bill France Sr. He is the brother of the prior owner who died. And, well, no, he's Bill France Jr.'s brother. He's Bill France Sr.'s son, right? So, he was essentially, he's the second brother. So he comes in and he's talking about the process of the negotiations. There was a lot of questions about, like, why didn't you compromise and give them evergreen charters? At the end of an evergreen charter is essentially a permanent charter. And for those that don't know, the charters are the agreements that the teams have with NASCAR concerning revenue distribution. And also, if you have a charter, then you are guaranteed entry into every race. And there's some more to it, but really, realistically, that's what it is you get entry into every race. You will always be there. You sign this charter and you get revenue sharing, and you do it by this agreement. Now, the whole basis of really what started this all was the signing of the charter agreements last 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was argued that NASCAR acted, illegally and immorally, and essentially put the team owners in a position where they had no choice but to sign.
Yeah.
And NASCAR tried to argue
It was
essentially
here,
that it was
take it or
negotiated for
leave
2
it.
years.
Yeah.
Right. And there was, sort of different views on it. There was the view from the 2311 and Front Row, which is, hey, you sat us down, you made these amendments to this thing we've been negotiating for 2 years of, like, however many pages, and you sat us all down and told us, essentially at the kitchen table, right? You put us all at the table and you say, sign this or don't, but this is take it or leave it. And you have stories from, I think it was Richard Childress's daughter. They came in and was talking about how she had to leave and she left her elderly father there to negotiate this thing. And she didn't want to sign it, but he ended up signing it. And they said the reason he signed it is because he didn't want to risk losing everything he had built. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. Because also the thing was, which I didn't know, at least maybe that's how naive I am. I didn't know that NASCAR could just pull those from them.
The Chargers, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I thought they could. I knew they could lose them if something happened, but I thought like
Well, they were going
Richard
to
Childress
expire.
were their charters. Those are his 4 charters, so he couldn't lose them unless. But then as you go on, you'll get more into it. But I never understood that it was like they could just pull them and be like, "Hey, you're down to 3. Hey,
Right.
you're down to 2."
So they weren't going to pull the charter
No,
necessarily,
yeah,
but they were
yeah.
the charters were for 7 years and they were set to expire. So if they don't renew the charter, you just don't have it anymore. And realistically, at the end of the day, what this all was about is the teams are now getting something called permanent charters. Oh, and so anyway, so we go through this process of the trial.
Yeah.
It's very embarrassing for NASCAR. NASCAR doesn't put up a witness. The next day, that morning, they take about 3 hours of recess. The judge is pushing them, to continue the trial, which the judge was pushing the trial forward the whole time. He was very upset about the timing. He said it wasn't going fast enough. And they reached a settlement. And we don't know the terms of the settlement as far as monetary.
Money was, yeah.
But we do know the major things that were negotiated as far as what changes, right? So there are major changes to NASCAR's financial model going forward in the future. And I mean,
and for the teams too.
The teams specifically. So the teams now have what they call evergreen charters. And I'm not sure why they call them evergreen charters. Permanent charters makes more sense to me. But realistically, what they are is they are franchises.
Yes.
Just like an NFL team is a franchise within the NFL, the greater league, we now have 36 independent franchises, which are owned. Some of them are owned by multiple car owners, right? So there's like teams within the teams, but you have 36 independent franchises, which these owners will own that own the charter will own that franchise. And they can buy them and sell them at ease.
Take
the other
loans
thing,
out. They can loan money against it. They can
loan money against it. It's an asset which now has tangible value because it lasts forever. Some of the problems that the team owners were complaining about was that they could not take their position within NASCAR and turn it into money. They were having issues with sponsors because the sponsors didn't know if they were going to be there and for how long. It's hard to sign on to a long-term sponsorship when you don't know if the team is going to exist in 2 years. They want stability, which is normal with business relationships, and it made things very unstable for the teams. So hypothetically in the future, some of the things that are being talked about is, like you said, it's an asset which they can take money out and they can take loans. They're talking about bringing in private equity to where they can sell off parts of the team to bring in more revenue or to bring in cash to build the teams. And you now have 36 NASCAR franchises, which I'm sure are going to get distributed and parsed up. But there is like a real ownership, a different level of ownership now.
It's crazy.
And they don't own NASCAR.
Crazy.
NASCAR is a different entity. So it's different in the NFL from that way, right? In the NFL, the teams own their team. They are a part of the NFL, which is comprised of all the teams. And, essentially Roger Goodell works for the teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the way NASCAR is. So NASCAR still exists. It is a governing body. It puts on the events. The thing people don't realize is that NASCAR owns all these tracks. Yeah. Maybe not all of them, but almost
majority
all
of them. Yeah,
right.
Of them.
They own these things. I mean, they are a massive corporation when it comes to the value within NASCAR. We learned through the discovery, and I know we went over the financials a little bit last time we were here, but I think the had nothing to do with the racetrack, but the land around Sonoma. NASCAR sold some of the land around Sonoma, not all of it, a portion of it, for $500 million. That's $500 million that they brought in just out of nowhere. And we did learn that NASCAR is almost no debt, which is great. They had taken on a lot of debt in the past. They've paid almost all that off. So it's pretty much debt free. It owns all these tracks pretty much debt free, which means that as far as the long-term future of NASCAR, financially they're in a strong place. Um, so that's great. But as far as the teams, they now have these franchises and it's going to be completely different. And we don't know what it's going to look like at the end of the day. I don't know if it's good or bad. But what I can tell you is that it's different and it's change. The one thing that I've heard as far as bad has been from Dale Jr. Dale Jr. grew up around the sport with his father, and is sort of an old school mentality. And he was talking about how the one thing that he's worried about with the franchise model, which was evident was coming, was that it's going to almost eliminate the ability for people to come up and enter NASCAR. NASCAR has always been an open sport where if you could build it, you could drive it. If you can get in, you can play, right? And now those doors are closed. I mean, you can hypothetically still try to get in, but realistically, that's not going to happen anymore. So getting into NASCAR, the bar for entry is significantly higher than it was before this trial. But the people that are in place that own the teams at this time, they've got a significant windfall as far as the value of their asset. So it's a huge gain for them. And if they can bring in money, we're looking at building new facilities, increasing the size of the teams, and just a more modernized NASCAR, which could be interesting.
Yeah, but
We'll
another
see.
thing too is now if say I don't know Hendricks for whatever reason says, you know what, I'm going to go to 3 cars. He can now sell that charter and bank on it. You know what I'm saying? If he can make the
Yes.
money on it, then that could be the new car or driver or whatever coming in. It
Yes.
now gives these guys that have been the backbone really of NASCAR. I'm not crying poor for them at all. But imagine how much money they could have if they, with Jeff Gordon, the
Yes.
Rainbow Warriors, Jimmy Johnson, just Hendricks alone. Think of the money that could have been piled on top of everything if this was in place then.
Absolutely. So now, I mean, you've got to imagine that they probably have more ability to
Yeah.
merchandise that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No. I mean, yeah, with the merchandising or anything now, it's your franchise. I can make Inside Hendricks this week, and you do a show on YouTube every week of what's going on in Hendricks, and you don't have to worry about NASCAR or nothing else. It's yours now.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
just-
Like with a Dolphins talk. Yeah, you could just have a
Yeah.
Hendricks talk. I mean, we could have
Yeah.
done that before, but it wouldn't have made any sense.
No, it doesn't, because you're not going to make anything on it because everything's through NASCAR.
Right.
Now it makes all that stuff and
So yeah, I remember one of the things that changed, and when the sale of the charters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it used to be that NASCAR would take a small administration fee. They would take 2% during the sale of a charter. That is now up to 10%, because they have, whenever this charter is sold, I guess they get 10%, and the owners were good with that because they get much more value with the
I was
with
going
the
to say
evergreen.
now they're more valuable, so the 2% would probably be 20%. Honestly,
Yeah,
I mean,
and I can't wait to see one of these teams sell.
Yeah.
The last charter that sold was what, like 30 million or something, and everybody was aghast at the amount. Those we're clearly going into the hundreds of millions for a team.
Oh yeah,
If-
and that's probably for the base ones. You start throwing in a Hendricks one or a Penske car that's a charter like the number 2 or whatever. I'm just using that one as an example because I know it's your car. Or
Yeah.
the Joe Gibbs 11. Those have already established history.
right.
Like to me, and again, maybe it's just me being the little NASCAR homer guy. To me, that NASCAR is the one thing where history means something.
How much would a 3 cost you? Right?
Oh, what?
Imagine. Yeah. I know we all love
Oh.
our teams, but realistically, like the
Yeah.
3 is the king when it comes to
Yeah.
to brand and merchandising, and
Yeah.
can't even imagine.
Man, and Childress still owns that one?
He does. His grandson drives it.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. That's right. Austin Dillon went back to the 3. I wasn't even thinking about, like, I'm so used to seeing I meant the 3 with the AC Delco or whatever else. What do you got? Not Interstate. Why am I drawing a blank? It's the most famous thing.
Bass Pro?
No, man, the 3 with the black and the white.
Oh, Goodwrench?
Goodwrench. Damn, thank you. I'm having a damn brain fart. I couldn't think of Goodwrench. What the hell? That's it. Show's over.
Well, yeah. So the other thing that happened with the settlement that we know about is there is an international fund for, I'm not exactly sure what it does, but NASCAR had complete control over the international funds. Now that is also being split with the teams. I think at 30 or 35% of it. So there's a little bit more money out there, but realistically, the charters make them more valuable.
Yeah. No, the fact that now they kind of have an asset in the charter and not just, I mean, not that, and again, it sounds like we're like, oh, they're crying poor, but they were still making money off of these. The problem was, as the charters got closer to expiration, you can't guarantee anything to sponsors, and nobody worthwhile is going to give you money to go and on a wild goose chase in a way, because you don't know if this charter is going to be there or not. You know? So now it's there. It's there. It's done. Michael Jordan was at the forefront of this, Spencer.
He was. He was the designated plaintiff representative. He sat there for the entire trial.
Yeah. Yep. And it's funny to me, too, because, and again, he brought different eyes into the world of NASCAR. This is what NASCAR wanted, too, by the way. We want these eyes in. We want Pitbull. We want Michael Jordan. We want all this. And then he got there and was like, this ain't right.
Yeah, this doesn't make sense. This isn't a professional model that I'm accustomed to seeing.
Yeah, because he's used, and the NBA is even worse now. I mean, like, the NBA just, I mean, compared to the NFL, the NBA is a players' league. The players run the NBA. You know what I'm saying? The teams, the players, everything else. It's not really, the governors run, not the owners, governors. But and when he saw what was going on there, it's like, hey, this ain't right. Why did
collective bargaining is coming.
Yeah, but why did front row the only one that went with what Michael Jordan was saying? Because they were the newer one?
Everyone else signed the charters.
Or what?
All the other teams signed the charter. Front row was the only other team that didn't sign the charter. Yeah. And when Michael Jordan entered the lawsuit, I want to say front row was the one pushing the lawsuit and Michael Jordan joined, but I could be wrong.
Well, Michael Jordan took over once. I think you're right. They started it, but then 23XI joined in. But why just those two teams? Was it just because, hey, that's same old, we just go and race?
Well, I think everyone else had already signed the charter. They were in for the deal as it was. They were going forward.
Well, yeah, because NASCAR threatened them that if you don't have a charter. I mean,
yes.
Yeah, I gotta sign it, or else I lose my sponsors.
Right, you lose your sponsors. You could possibly lose your team. Your team goes bankrupt. You lose your building. You have all your employees fired. Your drivers will go somewhere else. But there's an entire teams and organizations behind these people. There's a lot of people that get fed by Richard Hendricks Richard Childress and Rick Hendricks. Yeah,
and sometimes I feel like NASCAR now is kind of like, we should have not done this whole branch out and get all these people involved, because then it brought new eyes on to say, and it disrupted the old good boy network there, the good old boy network. So I think
at the end of the day, this was a mistake for NASCAR.
Yeah,
that's obvious. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, they ended up giving the charters they wanted to avoid, and they paid for it. And they didn't only pay for it financially; they paid for it with with social goodwill. NASCAR took a hit. They got embarrassed, and people that don't like to be in the limelight got dragged into the limelight. We don't hear from the France family, from the Kennedys, very often. I know we saw Ben Kennedy today. He's being, it seems like he's being groomed to take over, which is good. But
he's going to be the face of the.
Yeah, and it's time for a fresh face. That's
Yeah.
good, but that's relatively new. Since Bill was been gone, we don't really hear from them. We certainly don't hear from Jim,
Mm-mm.
and um, yeah, now it was embarrassing. It was a mistake. They ended up giving up what they wanted to hold on to
Yeah.
begin with, and
Well,
they
because
overplayed
I
their
think
hand.
so now again, because you what you do in your
Sure.
day to day, when you saw everything and how it was playing out, did you automatically start going, okay, they're going to settle? When you saw like the public relations, if you're there, I don't want to put it that way because then I'm saying you're going to give advice.
Yeah.
From what you've seen and you've seen stuff play out around you, as things started falling for NASCAR, as this they just kept taking loss at not necessarily loss after loss, but publicity loss, I guess.
Yeah.
Like public relations loss after loss on public relations side. That it was like, okay, we got to do something or else we're gonna lose everything.
Well, that's it. So I think they settled because they saw that there was a real possibility that they could literally lose everything. So the way this lawsuit goes down is essentially they're being sued as a monopoly for anti-monopolistic practices, right? So that means at the end of the trial, if they're found liable, that judge has the authority to dismantle the company and strip the company from the fans family and force a sale of all the assets and literally destroy it if he wants to.
But now let me ask you a question because when you just said assets, there is that the
The
charters?
tracks, the tracks.
Okay, that's the tracks. The charters are still, but like if it would have went through, the charters wouldn't have been to the team, so the charters still would have been an asset as well, too, right? Or no?
The charters wouldn't have existed. There would be no NASCAR.
Oh, because they would have done away with everything. Okay, okay.
The judge had the authority. If you are a company that is a monopoly, and it's not illegal to be a monopoly, it's illegal to be a monopoly that participates in anti-competitive practices. So that's the major difference. Before the trial, it was found as a fact. So sometimes before there's a trial or a hearing, people will agree, or it can be found through pretrial motions that certain facts exist. And a fact is something that's proven, right? So at a trial, you're trying to prove certain things, right? Like there's a charge and there's elements of it, and if it's proven, it becomes a fact.
Mhm.
So it was a fact when that trial started that NASCAR was a monopoly, and they were a monopoly over buying and using the essentially the services of stock car racing and their drivers. Okay,
Okay.
that was their monopoly. They're allowed to be a monopoly.
Mhm.
Monopolies exist. What they're not allowed to do is the things like they did with SRX, which is uh, try to sabotage SRX, go out and prevent SRX from using their tracks, um, go go to Bowman Gray in order to try to prevent SRX from getting the contract there, and essentially telling Bowman Gray that if they allow SRX to go there, that they're not going to come. Um, it's not out of the goodness of our heart that we went back to Bowman Gray. We went back to Bowman Gray to fuck up SRX.
Wow. Yeah.
That's what we learned at the trial.
Yeah.
So,
And if it would have kept going, you probably would have gotten more of this down the
well,
line.
if
At
we
some
kept
point.
going, the plaintiff's rested.
Yeah.
So, we don't know what would have been in a rebuttal case, and we don't know what was going to come from NASCAR. But a lot of NASCAR's witnesses had already been called because the plaintiffs called them. The plaintiffs called Jim France.
Yeah.
Another thing we learned from Jim France at the trial, which I thought was really interesting, was concerning the next gen car. We learned a lot about how we got to the next gen car. Did you see any of this stuff about that?
Not necessarily the next gen car. No, I did not.
No. So when Jim France first took over NASCAR, he was going through through the garages and stuff, and essentially at that time there was like people would constantly tinker with the cars and
Mhm.
engineer things and try to get this piece just a little bit faster, a little bit
Yeah.
faster. And then when one person figured out they did it, they would go try to do it. And it was an arms race. And NASCAR was really expensive for the owners. And the owners kept complaining about the expense of NASCAR because of the arms race. Kind of like F1, right? F1 pays all this money to these engineers because realistically, you're just trying to get a little bit faster and a little bit faster.
Yeah.
And that's what NASCAR had become. And Jim France didn't like it. Jim France came from the model where it was open entry. You would go and you could build your own NASCAR, and if it was fast enough and you could qualify, you go out there and do it. And that was the model of how NASCAR was built, and that's kind of
Yeah.
what they were trying to preserve. So he saw that and he came up with the idea of making a car where they have interchangeable parts that's standard for everybody, to try to keep the cost low. It would only have one provider. And then that's how they started making the next gen car. The next gen car was made to make the next gen car was made to make NASCAR less expensive. And it seems as though it may have done the opposite from what we hear, but that was the intention behind it.
Well, it ended up being more expensive because they weren't able to fabricate the parts anymore.
Right. And then the people that were making the parts jacked up the prices.
Exactly. And then it started, and if I'm not mistaken, since it was a NASCAR design type thing, they were making money off of this.
Also, you can't, like, if something's messed up, you can't fix it. You have to
Yeah.
buy a whole new one.
Whole new one.
Right.
Yes. Another part of the monopoly.
I mean, I don't think that NASCAR is
I'm
involved
not
in
saying
the making of the parts, but yeah,
they
it's
meant
another
it that
monopoly
way.
for somebody else. Yeah.
I'm not saying they meant it that way, but you're telling me NASCAR ain't getting a kickback when you can only go to certain people to get this, and NASCAR's the one telling you where you can go?
Right.
I mean, again, I'm maybe it's cynical of me, but it's like
I think that they would have been fine with that part. They would have been okay. I think the SRX was the nail in the coffin. That was clearly anti-competitive.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the France family was looking at the real possibility of losing everything. And they had no choice but to give the teams what they should have given them to begin with.
Yeah. And it's funny too, though, because the teams were just asking for that. And again, I know you said collective bargaining and stuff might be coming down the line.
That's coming. That's new stuff. That's
things
a whole
like
other
that,
ball game.
But they weren't asking for everything, and they kept fighting them until you saw what it. And again, man, I mean, it really made NASCAR in the light. Not only the whole thing with the fans not really tuning in as much because of the on the track product, but now you're getting this off the track, and it's like, okay, what else? What else could happen?
It's kind of gross over here. I don't know if I like this anymore.
Yeah, I feel a little dirty.
This family that is the builders and the patriarchs of the sport that everybody loves has been demonized.
Yeah.
And I will say this: you heard through the trial, even the plaintiffs. Denny Hamlin came up there and said it. Michael Jordan said it. Like, we trust the France family. We want the France family to own NASCAR. We want them to run NASCAR. They've built this. They, one, they deserve it, but two, they're good stewards of the sport. So they're not trying to change that, which I thought was nice of them to say, which I think kind of helps with the next part, which is how we get past it. The compromise and the change in the playoff system, I think, was a good start. But now everybody's got to get along and play nice, and we got a season coming. It starts in a month.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting for me to see how a lot of this plays out now too. Because here's a question I got for you, Spencer. And again, I don't know if you thought about this but with them now owning these brands, right, and these franchises, you have to have a face for that franchise, right? What is going to, like, I'm trying to think like what I can compare it to. Is it going to turn into like the college, I guess, NIL? Like,
so I don't know
how are you going to be able to lock down, say, Kyle Larson in the 5? You want him to be the 5 forever. You can't just give him a 20-year deal.
You could.
Well, okay.
I mean, you could, but it would be. You can do that.
But I mean, that's what it's going to take for these guys, though, right? I mean, it's going to take.
Well, we don't
that,
know that
or
yet.
they're going to do like a 2-year deal and then move on, or a 2-year deal and move on, and.
So we don't know that part yet. I don't know that the drivers have thought about it, but I think it's really interesting. So I think it's very obvious to me that collective bargaining is coming to NASCAR. But here's my question for you:
Hmm.
when the drivers band together, who are they going to be bargaining with?
It's going to be the owners now.
So but that's what I'm saying. I mean, who are they bargaining with? NASCAR,
No, they're going to be bargaining with whoever owns the team.
right? So it's kind of like there's two layers to this because the teams are still going to want more money. They're still
Yeah.
going to want these
The
charters
owners are
to
going to
change.
bargain with NASCAR, and then the drivers are going to, go with the owners. The thing that's going to be interesting is,
But I think at some point the drivers are going to have to try to figure out how to bargain with the owners as a collective.
well, and then this was going to be my point here was how much will NASCAR be? Who will they be with, the owners or the drivers? Because with the owners, whatever, but without the drivers, there's no NASCAR.
For me, I think NASCAR.
I mean, you
has
can
a very-
replace them. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you can, but you're getting if they band together and say, "Hey, we're not driving this Sunday," what are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you think
At
Connor
that
Zillage
point-
or somebody from the trucks are like, okay, I'm going to go against these guys.
Oh, and break the picket line?
cross the line, and what race? Are you kidding me?
Right. No clue.
That's going to be very because now it's put a little bit of power to the drivers now too, because for everything that these owners want for these franchises, charters to become, the drivers still got to become that face to make it worth the money.
Right.
So now how does it work out for the driver to be, and again, I know some of these drivers make a lot of money off of, the sponsorship deals and things like that. I know they're not crying broke either, but they have a lot more power in this now than what they used to.
Absolutely.
I don't know if they see it yet, and I don't know if they know it yet, but somebody's also got to be down there going, hey guys, it's kind of gives us, the ball's kind of in our court a little bit here. It's coming closer to our court.
No, the entire landscape has changed, and it's going to be changing on the fly. It's going to be the Wild West. Like we're going to see things we haven't seen before. We're going to see contract disputes we haven't seen before. Conflicts of interest, within teams, and I think it's interesting. Like hypothetically, if you're NASCAR, right? What is the business model going forward, right? So you kind of lost like the ownership of the numbers, right? Of the image. Like that kind of belongs to the teams now, because realistically that's what that is. That's what they got. But you own the most important thing, which nobody can replace, and you own the tracks. These tracks are expensive. Nobody's building a racetrack.
No,
you got to
they're
maintain
not.
the ones you got, because when one leaves, there's not another one that's being built.
This is starting to honestly shape like a Jenga puzzle. You're at the pool one and other, and because again, they can own all the tracks, but if you can't,
Somebody's got to come there to drive.
Exactly, or the owners got to, we're not going to bring our cars there that week or whatever. Like this is going to be a very delicate balancing act between all of them, or else, again, because look, man, NASCAR is really a
NASCAR.
niche. It's a
NASCAR
niche
and the
sport.
owners.
It's not regional anymore. But it's still niche.
Yes.
It's very it's not like football to where, okay, this side of the audience isn't watching football. Yeah, but this side is.
NASCAR and the owners have to make a choice at some point. And what they have to decide is they have to decide whether they stand separate or they stand together.
Yeah.
Because if they stand separate, I understand.
But then it becomes the NFL and NBA and everything else, right?
Right.
At that point. It'll be
and
owners.
I don't see it.
It'll be
I don't
the
see a
owners in
situation-
NASCAR versus the drivers.
I don't see a situation where the France family would ever agree to sharing the value of all the tracks that they own with the owners of the teams, right?
Mhm.
So that's never going to happen. So if you're NASCAR, to me, it seems like you have two choices going forward. You either cede control of the organization as it as it runs as a sport to the owners, and maybe you have some role in that, but like TV contracts, all those things, you either cede that to them or you bring them in. It only works one of two ways. Um, and I'm sure that they can. I know that they have the tracks and side companies, and they can keep that separate. But if you keep them, if you bring them in, then you have to start essentially working for them when it comes to the rules and regulations and how these things work. Because if not, you got the drivers against the owners. Like it's very messy. It's going to be wild. But I don't even know how to explain it, because we don't know what's going to happen. And it's not like a business model we've seen before that I can think of as far as professional sports.
Yeah, no,
imagine if none of the NFL teams owned their stadiums and there was just this like Bill Gates character that owned 32 football stadiums.
Yeah.
Because that's what we have. Really? Like,
yeah, no, it is. It is. And then you got, and then you got to get people into each said stadium and people into each, like, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting this year. I want to see how this plays out and see how they go forward, because to me, at least it looks like NASCAR is trying to, whether it's just a show or it's, whether it's, what is it, Memorex or it's real, whatever the hell it is, it's, they're at least showing that they're trying to compromise. Right now, they're on the good foot and showing that, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But then once stuff starts going against them, does it stay the same? Or is it like, okay, we've bent, we're not breaking. And then what is that breaking point? Is that like, well, it's going to be very interesting.
The other thing we haven't seen yet is there's factions within the owners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's smaller teams, there's bigger teams. NASCAR had multiple owners that they were going to call as witnesses for themselves. They didn't have to because they settled the case, but it appears to me as though there are connections that the organization has a certain ownership that they don't have with other owners. So if there becomes a split between the owners, how does that get settled?
I mean, to be honest, though, that's the one thing that NASCAR probably hopes stays the same and grows, because then they won't all come together as one.
Right, because
they all come together as one, then NASCAR might have some problems. But as long as they stay, whatever, then it's kind of like, okay, hey, all right, yeah.
All right, so I have a question I want to ask you.
Oh boy,
Michael Jordan.
One question
before we move on from the trial. I want to be done with it. But Michael Jordan, right? Did Michael Jordan save NASCAR? Did he ruin NASCAR? Or did he change NASCAR?
Right now, I'll say changed NASCAR.
I agree. I think he changed it.
Yeah, because we'll have to see where it goes from here, whether he saved or ruined. Because
we don't know yet.
Yeah,
no.
Right now he's only changed it.
He's changed it, and he's brought a lot of value to the owners, which is good. But
yeah, which again, that. What's funny though? Like, I wonder in the owners' circles now where Michael Jordan is.
Yeah.
With what he's done in just that little bit. Because again, you talked about it with Hendricks, his daughter. Like, all the younger, parts of the NASCAR equation.
These teams are getting handed down soon. These are
they didn't want.
These are octogenarians that are running these things.
They would not have signed those charters if it's not Rick Hendricks, if it's not the good old boy network, as I call it, because they've been doing this for so long and it's worked for them.
Right.
They've gotten money off of it. Yeah, they don't get all the money they want off of it. But now they are going to get all that money off of it. Because, like, I keep going back to this, and I wrote it down like 3 or 4 times. What would have Hendricks have made with Jeff Gordon if he owned everything? Jimmy Johnson, at that point, like, all those championships and everything else. And, like, I mean, you look back at some of those teams and you look at it and you go, okay, think about Richard Petty, the 43. And again, this is going way back before, even back further. But like, if they owned everything on that end of it, you're talking a different story.
Yeah. And I still don't know if they do own everything on the end of it as far as like merchandising and stuff. I have no idea how that works. I'm sure it's negotiated somewhere, but who says that?
I'm very interested.
Who says that won't change in the future?
Yeah, because
whatever
usually when
it
you
is.
buy a shirt, it's got the NASCAR logo on it all the time. I wonder now if the NASCAR logo's on them or if they have to pay anything for the.
Yeah,
that's really interesting. I'm gonna have to check out a shirt at Daytona maybe if I'm there. If I'm there.
So, do you think Steve Phelps was the fall guy?
I feel like I still think, and what is very interesting to me on this whole thing is he's the one guy that could go and everybody could take over his thing and it didn't matter. He didn't even really need to be there.
They haven't replaced him.
No, they're not going to replace him. They said they're not.
Just going to spread his responsibilities.
They're spreading his thought because they made that position for him.
Right.
Like so to me, yes, I feel like that's the fall guy. Who's the guy can we do without? That guy. Okay. And he's staying on until the end of the month or something, like, to make sure everything else goes well. So like, it's almost like one of those things where like, hey, you know what? You did what you had to do. You might have messed up, but you've gotten us all this money here. We appreciate it. Right off into the sunset. Go ahead and resign and just disappear. Because now it does two things. It takes him out of the equation, and then the NASCAR part of it can be like, we've taken away what was the,
we got rid of the guy that said the mean thing about Richard
Yeah.
Childress. We got rid of him.
Yeah.
You know how I know he's the fall guy? We learned that during the negotiations for the charters, it was Steve Phelps who was pushing Jim France to give the owners evergreen charters. He was working. He was working towards giving them what they wanted. He wanted them to. He was trying to make that model work, and it was Jim France who was standing in the way.
I think Phelps saw that. Hey, look, if we give them this, then we don't have to worry about anything else. Like you said, now if it goes there and now goes to trial, now you're losing more or everything. I think Phelps saw and was like, hey, and this is, and again, I don't know if this was before or after, whatever, the emails and everything, but it's like, at that point, like, you're not in a good light. And this is the guy that's been booming your business. Phelps, as the commissioner, was helping the NASCAR business, the France family, basically.
Right.
Make money, hand over fist. And I don't know that, that they made the right call by just doing this lawsuit. Why not just, after everything that's come out, like, to you could have lost everything when you could have just given up a little. In the grand scheme of things. In the grand scheme of things.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe to them it's a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, all you've given the owners now is their asset, which, hell, to me, Hendricks is probably paid over and over for that. Same with Penske.
They put the investment in to make that asset exist to begin with.
Yeah. So, like, why not just boom and we're done with this? Like, why keep it rolling the way it's rolling? Like, I mean, I know I saw one of the emails or texts like, well, just let them guys go find their own tracks to race at or whatever. Good luck or something like that. And it's like,
right.
Do you honestly think that, like, I mean, look at what has happened with the implosion of drivers going, the chili cook-off. The chili is going
chili.
on this week.
You got chili?
Oh, I love me some chili. But they're going on this week. Larson's there. I think Blaney was or some of them, there's a bunch of NASCAR guys there. And it's just helped out. Keelan Harvick and Kevin Harvick racing each other at some of these tracks. Those tracks were selling out, man. When you look at what all is going around, like, dude, like, just this community can be something. Instead, you try to keep it down, and instead of just building it up. That's the way I feel like right now. It's like they were like, we need to keep them down because if we allow them to rise up, then we won't be the main family anymore.
I feel like they were short-sighted.
Yeah.
They're short-sighted because Another thing we learned was that some of the teams during the negotiations, when they were asking for evergreen charters, were offering to take less of a percentage of the revenue.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
think
because
Denny
they knew they
Hamlin
could.
said that.
They knew they could make the money if that was their
Right.
asset. You can loan off of the asset. You
Right.
have an asset. With it not being an asset, you can't do anything with it. It's, hey, great, I got a car for 36 weeks.
Right.
Like, I mean, yay. And I get to race in these cool places. All right. Like, when I read some of that stuff, I was like, I must be, and again, maybe I'm missing out some of this stuff, but it's like, how are some of these guys making as much money as they are making?
Because some of them aren't business people. They're race car drivers. Like,
No, I get that, but
I mean, Richard Childress was a race car driver and he got into it, you know?
For example, and this is going back to the old days, or even recently, Joe Gibbs had FedEx for, felt like 10, 15 years. Why would FedEx stay with them for 10 or 15 years?
I don't know.
Like when I look back at all this, it's like, what did some of these guys get out of what was, when you look back, it's like, because FedEx was also paying Denny and then giving some to Gibbs. And then, I mean, it's like, if you don't have that group of racers, like I almost wonder now too, and I'm sorry to pick on your guys, but with Penske, okay, you got Logano, Blaney, and Cindric.
Mm-hmm.
Cindric is your Riley Herbst, right?
Yeah.
He's the one taking the least amount of money, the sponsors, the basic sponsors. We're giving the big money to Blaney and Logano.
No, I don't think so. I think no. So the 2 is the most
number-wise, yes. Number-wise, yes.
No, the 2 carries some
but
of
recently,
that.
But
as far as the driver,
12,
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, the 22 is probably the most consistent ride of the 3 of them.
Yes, I can go with that, yeah. Although the last couple of years, man, Blaney's been very consistent, man. Although he'll get in a stretch for like 4 or 5 races where it'll be a bunch of DNFs and then he'll get back on track. But
I meant as far as like the sponsorship on the car.
Oh no, yeah. Yeah, because Hendrick sponsors his own damn car, doesn't he? The 5.
yeah. HendricksCars.com.
Yeah.
Here comes Kyle Larson. Here comes Raja Karuth and is it 11? I forget what his truck number was.
71. Truck 71.
Yeah. And the HendricksRacing.com truck.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love me some Raj Karuth though, man. I like him.
Me
I
too.
like him. I just keep him in the trucks right now, let him grow, and then move him up as
he
needed.
keeps getting better. It's not like he's not improving.
And he came from my racing. I mean, again, it's one of those guys where it's like, and Hendrick seems to find those guys, right? The iRacing guys. Isn't that
the
Byron
only other one I
them?
know of is Byron. I don't know who
right.
else is an iRacing
Oh,
person.
okay.
I know there's more of them, but I don't know who they are.
All right. Let me see what else.
Just sad things now. I only got
man,
two sad things here to sort of touch on. I don't have a lot to say other than it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, the plane crash that took place, what was it,
Greg
December?
Biffle.
Yeah, December 18th. Greg Biffle, his whole family.
Oh, man.
Another father and son and a pilot. A total of, I believe it was 8 people on board.
Insane.
And, man, and like 8 days before Christmas, I think it was, or 7 days, like right before Christmas. And I remember when it came across, I was like, no way, man. All the what Greg Biffle was on the track, he was just as good person off the track.
Absolutely.
He had his own helicopter, did a lot with Western North Carolina and stuff when everything was going on up there.
He's doing rescue missions. He was flying things in and out.
Yeah, and he was dropping waters and everything else, and just sometimes, man. So, and just to, again, his wife, Christina, Greg Biffle, his children, Ryder was 5, Emma 14, Dennis Dutton, and his son, Jack Dutton, and Craig Wadsworth. were all killed in that crash. And again, we haven't been on since the end of the year, so we just want to make sure that we send out our thoughts and prayers to all those affected and in that tragedy.
Absolutely.
And the tragedy didn't stop there, as a story came out, a home owned by Denny Hamlin caught fire in the Carolina area. And then it, at first they said they weren't sure who was living there. Then reports surfaced, and it was his mom and dad. His dad was already real sick, if you remember the story, going for the championship. And his dad ended up passing away from the injuries sustained during the fire. The mother...
She survived, right?
The mother survived, correct? Because I know she was still in critical...
And she was messed up. She was in the hospital. She didn't get out for a while.
And both of them escaped the fire and were standing outside. Were outside when they pulled up, is what the story said.
But Denny's dad was in poor health to begin with.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so everything right now, she's been transferred to a hospital in Winston-Salem for treatment still. So she's going to be in, I can only imagine, the...
So this one's for the Biffles from the Hamlins.
There you go.
There you go. Cheers.
There we go, man. All right, Spencer. Let them know where they can get you, man.
All right, one thing real quick. So
right here, sorry. Oh, there we go.
Right here behind me.
All right. I can see it better now. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be here this week and this week only. It's a lovely painting. It's by Bill Patterson. You can purchase it for $5,500 from Gallery 500 across the street from the Daytona racetrack. If you want any other sort of NASCAR art, reach out to me. I'll get you in contact with my wife. But yeah, lovely piece, Bill Patterson. This is from the Rolex 24-hour race last year, 2025. This is the winner, and this is the painting that Mr. Patterson did after celebrating the winner.
And yours for only $5,500.
But I'm sure we could probably get a little bit of a discount.
Well, it's a $49.95 or $54.95.
If you offered $49.95, I'm willing to bet we could probably make that work.
$54.95.
Absolutely, that one too.
All right. Let them know where they can get you, man.
You can find me here at Talking Racing Now. You can find me on X at NoldOut87. And as always, you can find me on them YouTube streets hanging out.
There it is. You can check me out on X at SS_Sports Talk, Stanley Media House, everywhere else. Spencer, we're going to do this right here on air.
What's that?
Are we going to come live the Monday before Bowman Gray? Or are we just going to wait for the race to happen and go Monday after?
When is Bowman Gray?
February 1st.
Oh, crap. My dog just chewed an AirPod. Anyways, let's do it before.
All right. Then we will be here to preview Bowman Gray. And that will be the Monday before February 1st, which would happen to be on my handy-dandy calendar thingy-dingy here. Hold on. That will be on the 26th. We will be back in 2 weeks. We'll be back
2 weeks
to preview the Bowman Gray and look at anything else that goes down. Make sure you follow us on X. Any breaking news, anything like that, we'll give our 2 cents. Spencer, I thank you, man, for coming on, man. It's been a little while.
It has been a while. It's nice to. I see you all the time, but it's nice. It's nice to talk to you, Shad.
Nice talking racing with you as always, my man. And in the words, so long. You know what? I'm going to do it on this one, too. In the words of Ray Gordon Soley, so long from the Sunshine State.
Talking racing now, the best show around.